My Isekai life, I gained a second character class and became the strongest Saki in the world. Volume 1 review. The story follows protagonist Yuji Sano, a young man who spends all his time working, even when at home. One day a message pops up in Yuji's PC, telling him that he is being summoned to another world, which of course he thinks is simply a bug, until he awakens to find himself in an unfamiliar location and face to face with a cute slime. To begin with, Yuji is convinced he's just having a very elaborate dream. After all, he's not being getting nerdy enough deep sleep, recently due to work. Knowing he had an alarm set, Yuji decides to enjoy himself for now until he gets woken up and sets about exploring with the slimes he tamed. Before long, he comes across an abandoned house, and thanks to the 80 slimes he's made friends with, he quickly absorbs all the knowledge contained in the books he finds there. This means he gets a second character class alongside Monster Tamer, so he's now both a monster tamer and a Sagi with plenty of magic at his disposal. With nothing better to do, Yuji heads to Minerva Town, where he decides to register as an adventurer so he can make some money to buy dinner, while his slimes insist the grass in the forest is plenty to taste. At the Adventurers Guild, he's met with disbelief when he reveals that he has two character classes, since it's never happened before. Despite the fact the head of the guild is convinced Yuji is lying, they agree to put him during the test to accept him, thinking that his lies will succumb to light either way. My Isekai life certainly hits the same story beats as many of his fellow Isekai adventures, which is perhaps no surprise with his original light novel author is Shinko Shoto, who readers were recognized as being the author of the Strongest Sake with the Weaker's Crest. He was in several fantasy Isekai series under the name. Strongest Sake is a series with a battle junkie protagonist leading it, whereas Yuji is simply getting himself set up in a new world he's found himself in so he can live happily, while still believing he'll wake up in the real world eventually. But there are plenty of similarities in the structure of the story. For example, both protagonists are considerably overpowered and have abilities that are thought to exist in their worlds, which constantly amazes those around them. The main differences when it comes to Yuji is his monster tamer job and the many slimes he tames. The slimes hold different personalities, appearances, and they can communicate with Yuji, allowing them to be very capable partners for his adventure. But the story isn't anything particularly unique. I still enjoyed my time with it in the world. The bigger issue for me is that the artwork of Pongia doesn't do it any favors. The slimes look great in the terms of their appearance and how their personalities are shown off, but when it comes to the human characters, the designs all feel out compared to what I expect them to look like. Maybe it's simply the fact that chins are too pointed and Yuji always has a clueless, bored look on his face. I would say as a plus point to the artwork that the action scenes throughout look fine, but because of the character designs, I struggle to get absorbed with in the book properly. Yuji's face is just far too distracting. As previously mentioned, my Isekai life comes to the West thanks to Square Enix manga and has been translated by David Evelyn. The translation reads well with no issues. To note, this release includes color pages at the beginning and a short story for the original author at the back. The series is ongoing in Japan in 14 volumes, and Square Enix have Volume 2 in the English release scheduled for June. Overall, my Isekai life is a fun read if you like this genre, but the artwork holds it back from being particularly memorable, and I think that will even put off quite a few readers. On the other hand, if you're looking for some cute slime characters in your Isekai, you need to look no further. A free preview of the book can be found at the publisher's website here. 7 out of 10.